Hello, happy people. This is Mr. Wilcox. This is a lesson for Algebra 1 class on evaluating expressions. So we've talked about what expressions are, and we've talked about how to simplify them by combining like terms. Today we are going to evaluate expressions. So to evaluate an expression, what we're going to do is we are going to plug in whatever value we are given for the variable and then we're going to simplify. So if we have n plus 3, when n equals 3, I'm going to substitute 3 in for this n. I'll get 3 plus 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6. If I have 6n, remember that means 6 times n, so if I replace that n with a 3, I'll have 6 times 3, and 6 times 3 is 18. So we're just plugging in whatever value of the variable they give us in and simplifying. All right. So we're going to evaluate the following expressions when x equals 2. So if we have 9 minus x and we replace the x with a 2, we'll have 9 minus 2, and 9 minus 2 is 7. If we replace the x and 7 divided by x with a 2, we have 7 divided by 2, which could be our answer because 7 halves is a fraction that's simplified, or we could make it 3.5, or we could make it 3.5. All of these would be correct. And finally, if we have x cubed and replace our x with a 2, we'll have 2 cubed, which means to take 2 times 2 times 2, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Any of these work. All right. So we're just plugging the variable in, the value for the variable in. So we plugged in 2 for all of our x's, and we simplified. All right. What happens when we have two or more of the same variable? Well, whatever value they give us for our variable, we're going to plug in for all of them. So if I have x squared plus 2x when x equals 4, that means I'm going to plug in 4 for this x and this x. So let's actually look at that example. When we have x squared plus 2x when x equals 4, I'm going to change my x squared to 4 squared, and I'm going to change my 2x to 2 times 4. So notice I had x, x, and x. So no matter how many x's I see, I have to change them all to 4. Now I have to follow the order of operations. So do my exponent first. So 4 squared is 16. Now I can multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. And now I can add. 16 plus 8 is 24. So I replaced all the x's I saw with the value of 4, and then I used the order of operations to simplify to get an answer of 24. All right, so what happens when we have two different variables? Well, what happens when we have two different variables is we're going to plug in our value for x, and we're going to plug in our value for y. So let's start with x. We're going to have 2 times, instead of 2x, we're going to have 2 times 4. And then when we plug in our value for y, we're going to have, instead of 3 times y, we're going to have 3 times 8. So now we can follow the order of operations. So multiply from left to right. So 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And 8 plus 24 is 32. So we still plugged in the value for the variable they gave us. This time we just had two different ones. So we put in 4 in for the x and 8 in for the y. And then we followed the order of operations again to simplify. All right, so let's do a couple examples and then we'll be done. The first example, we have x minus 3x cubed, and we want to evaluate when x equals negative 2. So we have two x's and we have a value for x. So we're going to change both of those values for x to -2. So we're going to have a -2 minus 3 times -2 cubed. Right? So now we're going to follow the order of operations to simplify. So order of operations says to do our exponents first. So we're still going to have a -2 minus 3, and -2 cubed means to take -2 times -2 times -2. And if we put that in a calculator or we do it in our head, we're going to get -8. All right. So now still following the order of operations, I'm going to take and multiply my -3 times -8 and get a positive 24. And -2 plus 24 is 22. All right. So change both x's to -2. Follow the order of operations to simplify to get 22. All right, one last example and then we're done. So we're going to evaluate 3a plus 4b when a equals -9 and b equals 12. So that means I have to change my a to -9. So I'm going to have 3 times -9. And I'm going to change my b and substitute in 12. So 4 times 12. So my b matches my b went to 12, a matches a went to -9. Now I'm going to use the order of operations. Multiplying comes first, so 3 times -9 is -27, and 4 times 12 is 48. And if I take -27 plus 48, I get 21. So again, I made sure my a matched my b matched my b, plugged in their values, used the order of operations to simplify, and that simplifying is called. All right, so your homework is a worksheet. You can find a copy of this worksheet on Brightspace if you weren't at school today. You can also, it's right below the place where you turn it in. Remember, we're taking a picture of all of our homework and we're turning it in on Brightspace. So I hope you have a great day, Cardinals, and make it count.